Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to the start of another week. It is a Monday, and of course, it is the start of another international break, the final international break, though, of 2024. But we are going to talk about the Premier League because there was a big game last night. Chelsea versus Arsenal, of course, at Stamford Bridge. 1-1. I did do my video after the game, do my immediate post-match reaction, my player ratings as well. But I will go over the game in a lot more detail today. Got lots of responses from you guys who are getting in touch, giving me your thoughts on what you saw at Stamford Bridge. We'll go over my player ratings, which I did last night, as well. Look at what Mikel Arteta has to say after what was a really strange game, a difficult game to sum up from an Arsenal point of view. I thought on the whole, it was a pretty decent performance away at a very good team who have had a decent start to the season, who are in pretty good form. And I thought Arsenal went there largely and with a better team and probably should have won the game. Normally, a draw at Stamford Bridge, you wouldn't be too overly concerned with, but does leave Arsenal 9 points behind Liverpool in the race for the Premier League title, which is a big, big gap. Even if we have only played 11 games this season, there's still plenty of games to go for. So it was tough to really assess how I was feeling after the game. On one hand, I thought that was a better performance. I thought Martin Odegaard was back, and that was really, really promising. I thought there was a lot to like about the game. On another day, Arsenal win that match. So I was kind of feeling quite okay about it. But then I was thinking, you know what, this is a bad result because Arsenal needed to win. The position they're in at the moment, the amount of points they've already dropped, the fact they had a lead once again and they didn't hold on to it, I was obviously very, very disappointed as well. So it's a tough one to assess. But we'll look at what Mikel Arteta had to say anyway and go over what you guys have been saying. I'm going to start off today's show, though, before we get stuck into the Chelsea game, just on the latest news with Martin Odegaard, who, of course, came back yesterday, started the game, his first start since that injury, picked up playing for Norway about 7 weeks ago, whatever it was, played the full 90 minutes at Stamford Bridge unbelievably and was fantastic as well. Played really, really well, set up the goal for Gabriel Martinelli, of course. The news today, though, is that he is travelling to Norway to link up with the Norway squad for the international break. Ståle Solbakken, the Norway manager, has now confirmed that he is on the way to Norway. I did have a quote, which I'm trying to find, which has disappeared from my screen, which is very, very handy. It's here. It just says, talking to VG, the media outlet in Norway, he said, "We'll see how it turns out with the ankle for Martin. The medics and Martin will decide that." And that was when he was asked whether Martin could actually feature in their games against Slovenia and Kazakhstan during this international break. So he is going, but at the moment, it is unclear whether he's going just to be around the squad or if he's going to actually feature. I imagine Norway are going to want him to feature because he's just played 90 minutes for Arsenal and come through a game like that. And so they'll be like pointing at it and thinking, well, he's fit. He's played for Arsenal in the Premier League 90 minutes. He came on against Inter Milan in the Champions League. He's fit. We're going to use him. I don't know how Arsenal would feel about it. I've seen some mixed opinions on whether this could actually be a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, there is the fear. I think that's the overriding feeling as an Arsenal fan, isn't it? Is that we've been without Martin Odegaard for so long. We saw yesterday at Stamford Bridge just how big a difference he makes when he's in the side. And there is always that fear of, oh, great, he's going away to Norway where he got injured in the first place and he's going to clearly pick up another injury and we're going to be without him. So you always have that sort of paranoia about it. But I think when you also look at it from a footballing point of view, this might actually be a relatively good thing for Martin Odegaard. He might be able to go away, maybe get, 60 minutes in one game, 30 minutes in another game, something like that. And you get some more minutes under his belt before he comes back for Arsenal. And maybe that's going to improve his match sharpness and get him closer up to full fitness. Because although I thought he played very, very well yesterday, I think it was pretty obvious as well that he was still far, which is totally not surprising. But he was absolutely not close to being 100% fit yet. So maybe going away and getting some minutes for Norway over the international break will actually be a good thing for him and a good thing for Arsenal. So it remains to be seen anyway. It's unclear yet whether he is actually going to be involved in this game. But the one thing that is clear is that Martin Odegaard has travelled or will be travelling to link up with the Norway squad over the international break. Just on Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice, we were still waiting for a final decision on what's happened here. Obviously, Saka and Declan Rice both didn't complete the game yesterday at Stamford Bridge, so both went off with injuries in the second half. Declan Rice, we know, is carrying this toe injury. Arsenal got him through the Chelsea game. It remains to be seen whether he's going to still be in the England squad for their games coming up. They go to Greece on Thursday night. They've got a match, and then the Republic of Ireland on Sunday at Wembley. Bukayo Saka as well limped off. Mikel was speaking after the game yesterday on both of them. He said it doesn't look good because when two players of that importance tell you they cannot continue in the game, it is obviously not good news. He was then asked if they'll go on to international duty, and he says 2 players that have just come off, I don't expect them to be fit, because if they were, they wouldn't have come off. So I think Mikel making it pretty clear what his stance is on Saka and Rice potentially going away with England during the international break. Now, I imagine what's going to happen today is that Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka will both report to St George's Park and will be assessed by the England medics, and then a decision will be taken on whether they will go. So I think we'll probably get news today. By the time you're watching this, we might even already have had the news of whether Saka and Declan Rice are going to go away. When I say with Odegaard, there's probably some benefits for him playing during the international break. I don't see the benefits of these two playing during the international break. Saka clearly was struggling in that second half. You could see the fact he couldn't continue. And Saka, in a game of that magnitude, if he's fit, if he's 100%, he finishes that game. You don't take him off if he's not injured. So if he can't finish the match against Chelsea, I don't see why he should be risk for England in their games that have coming up. And Declan Rice obviously has been struggling with this toe injury. Arsenal just about managed to get him through for about 65 minutes in the game yesterday against Chelsea. Again, I see no benefit whatsoever of him going away with England for these 2 games. What is League? And I know it's the Nations League, so technically they're not friendlies, but let's face it, they're friendlies anyway. No one really cares. And so, Lee Carsley's going to learn nothing about Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka in these games. England know all about them and what they can do. So what's the point? Just give someone else a go and let those 2 rest up over the international break and be ready to go again when the Nottingham Forest game rolls around. Okay, moving on to Chelsea. If you're watching on YouTube, this picture, I think, on the screen right now just kind of sums it up. That last second moment in the game, which we still don't know if it would have been offside or not. I really hope it. I couldn't have taken if this had gone in and all the celebrate, because everyone would have gone mad. Imagine this gone in, the celebrations in front of the away end, last kick of the game to win 2-1 after a really tough run. Everyone would have gone mad. It would have been incredible celebrations. And then if we'd have found out that by VAR that it was offside and it had been ruled out, can you imagine the fall in morale and the Chelsea fans celebrating? So I'm almost glad that this didn't go in, because I'm not sure if it was offside or not. It was so tight. It would have been one of those 3 or 4 minute checks as they draw the line. It would have been really tough to take. But it didn't. It's all hypothetical. It didn't go in anyway. Trossard took it off Havertz's foot, and the flag did go up. You look at the still images and you're like, oh, is he offside or not? It would have been really tight, but look, it didn't go in anyway, so it is hypothetical. In terms of the game itself, as I said in yesterday's show after the match, I thought it was a decent Arsenal performance away from home against a very good team. It's another game when they've gone away against a big team, not lost, but it is still 2 points dropped in my opinion. You had the lead, you did the hard work, and then you gave away a really, really poor goal. Yes, it was brilliant finish from Pedro Neto. But it was a really poor goal. Just about 3 or 4 players at the same time all switched off. The communication disappeared. Arsenal were out of shape because Saliba had been dragged over to the left-hand side from the corner after the corner had come in and been cleared. He was out, and so Rice and Partey both dropped back to cover for him. Partey, it was in the middle, probably should have come out to try and close the shot down, but he thought he was covering for Saliba. You had Havertz, who was in the middle, who didn't really cover the run, although he probably thought, I'm in the central area, this is a decent position. I think Martinelli was the one who was actually just standing there watching Pedro Neto make the run. He was staring right at him and he didn't track him either. And so all of those things combined, you've just suddenly got this excellent player in Pedro Neto who has got just so much space to run into and shoot. And he still does it very, very well. I think probably still 8 times out of 10, you don't score that. So it's a brilliant finish, take nothing away from Pedro Neto. But it was just a really disappointing goal. And you could see how disappointed Arteta was. You could hear how disappointed it was afterwards that goal had happened and materialised the way it did. And so it still felt like 2 points dropped for Arsenal because of the position they put themselves in. They did the hard work. They got themselves in front. And I didn't think that they were looking particularly under pressure. I actually thought they were playing immediately after the goal had gone in to make it 1-0. I thought they played really, really well. And I thought they were going to go on and get a second goal. And then out of nowhere, the Chelsea get back. And Arsenal played well after that. You had this incident. You had other incidents as well. But it wasn't to be. It was a draw. I mean, you look at the stats and it was a very even game. expected goals basically the same. Shots, Chelsea just about edged it. Shots on target, both had 3 each. Open play shots, 10 each. Possession, 51-49. It was so tight. So when you look at that, you probably think a draw was a fair result on the day. I think if anyone shaded it, it was Arsenal, but it was a really tight game. So a draw was probably a fair result. And it's just a draw, unfortunately, for Arsenal right now, whereas usually Stamford Bridge draw away from home, probably okay with. Right now, it's more drop points for Arsenal. It did close the gap on Manchester City by a point. They're now just 4 points behind City, which is very, very small margin, I would say. But obviously, Liverpool are streaking clear at the moment, and that is the issue. Are we all kind of waiting for Liverpool to get sucked back into it? Are they going to be able to carry on this run? We'll have to wait and see. But it is a big, big gap to make up, even at this early stage of the season. Mikel, speaking about it, said, disappointed in the result because I think we deserve more. At the same time, very proud of the team, the way we played here in this stadium. They have battered every opponent here, and obviously it wasn't the case today. But after doing the most difficult thing, scoring the first goal, very disappointed how we conceded it. Conceded their goal nowhere near the standards, our defensive habits, how we allowed, and that moment you allow the space and time of their players with the quality they've got, you get punished. So that's not bad luck. In the end, the team showed its teeth, how much they wanted it. They took risks, full determination, put Chelsea under every problem. We were very aggressive, created 3 big chances. Unfortunately, we weren't able to put the ball in the net to win it. I think the team deserves it. On where the result leaves us now, he says there's nothing we can change about it. What I'm just praying is that after the international break, I have a team fully equipped physically. They are available and they are fit, because it has been an absolute nightmare for 8 weeks, issue after issue. Not only the ones that are not able to play, but the ones that are able to play only for certain moments, only for certain days, not be able to train. So I'm just asking that because I'm just asking that because the team, the desire that they have and how much they want it, there's no question about that. So it's going to come. We just need it on our side to be able to be more consistent on whether Arsenal have had to dig in with all the circumstances they've had to deal with in these opening weeks of the season, the injuries, the suspensions. He says, when it gets nasty, show your teeth and show how much you want it. When it's Disneyland, it's easy. Everyone is next to you and telling you how beautiful you are. And when it gets dark and difficult, everyone is questioning it. That's when I want to see people. That's when I'm always looking around. Who's going to step into that role? Yes or no? And Arsenal have had really tough circumstances to deal with in the opening weeks of the season. I do feel at the moment that everything that could be going against Arsenal is going against Arsenal. Look, they made their own mistakes as well. They can't absolve themselves of any blame. They're the ones who've got players sent off. Yes, they were unlucky to get some of them sent off in those situations, but still, they've managed to get themselves sent off. They've had leads that they've thrown away. So it's not down to luck. You're not using it as an excuse, but it does feel a little bit like so far this season, kind of everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. And you would hope at some stage that evens itself out a little bit and you start to get things where the rubber to green goes your way, when the decisions go your way, and hopefully that'll happen. I mean, you look at the league table there, Liverpool streaking clear, had an unbelievable start, obviously. Liverpool, 28 points from 11 games. Then it's very tight. City only 4 points above Chelsea and Arsenal. That's making up the top 4. Forest obviously lost at the weekend. It's really, really tight down there. But you kind of look at where Arsenal are in those 11 games they've played so far. They've played away at Man City, away at Chelsea, away at Spurs, away at Villa, away at Newcastle. It's been a really tough start, I don't think it's been a disaster yet by any means, but there's a lot of work now to do because of the way the results have gone and the points that they've dropped. They need a run. They need to come back after the international break and really go on a decent run now, pick up point after point, win after win, just to see where they can get themselves as we get towards the sort of festive period and New Year's period. If they can be within touch and I mean, you've got to remember, Liverpool were 5 points clear of Arsenal in February in last season. And in the end, Arsenal overturned that and ended up, I think, finishing about 7 or 8 points ahead of them. So that, that was in February and there was a massive gap. So, we're only in November. It's not, I'm absolutely not ready to wave the white flag and think this title race is over by any means. But Arsenal have to improve and they have to find consistency. And you can understand why Arteta is saying there, after international break, he's just desperate to have his squad available to him for players to be fit and to be properly ready to go after the international break. So these are my player ratings from yesterday's game. I'll just rattle through them. I've bumped Odegaard up to an 8. It's the only change I've made from the ratings I gave immediately after the game yesterday. I did have him as a 7, but I've put him to 8. I watched the sort of extended highlights of it again last night, and you actually see how involved Odegaard was in everything good that Arsenal did. And the fact he did it all without having started a game for 7 weeks, an incredible effort from Martin Odegaard. It really was. Arteta said afterwards he didn't know any other player who could do what Odegaard did yesterday after so long out. And I have to say, I probably don't disagree with him. It's an incredible effort to Odegaard. So I bumped him up to an 8. Gave Raya a 7. I thought Raya was really good in everything he had to do. Didn't really have many saves to make, but his handling, the way he came, the way he swept up and around the penalty area, it was just top notch. I gave him a 7. White, I gave a 6. Saliba, Gabriel, and I gave 7s each. Timber, I gave an 8. I thought Timber had a really good game. Partey, I gave an 8. I know a lot of people are saying to me that was too high a mark for Partey, but I did think he played well. Yes, he was one of about 4 or 5 players who were culpable for the Chelsea goal, and they'll look at how that happened and how that unfolded and think they could have reacted different to the fact Saliba had been dragged out of the central areas. But I still thought on the whole that Partey had a good game. Gave him an 8. Gave Odegaard an 8. Rice a 6. Saka a 6. Saka was kept quiet by Cucurella by and large throughout the game. Havertz I gave a 6, and Martinelli I gave a 7. I thought Martinelli played well. I thought he was Arsenal's bright spark in attack. I thought if anything was going to happen, it was going to mainly come from his side. He took his goal really well, putting a couple of crosses that should have been attacked, I thought, better than they were by those players who were in the box. So I thought Martinelli had a decent game, so I gave him a 7. The subs who came on, obviously, Marino, as I said in yesterday's show, I really enjoyed his late cameo, Marino. I thought it was very positive and good. And Trossard and Jesus came on as well. So those are my player ratings from yesterday's game. Okay, moving on to how some of you guys have been reacting before we wrap this one up for today. 16 Sprake says David Raya was great. The complete opposite of Sanchez, came for all crosses and collected them well. Probably been our standout player this season. Dylan says, hi, Charles. I'm finding it really hard to like Marino at the moment. Every time I watch him, he feels like a bench player, definitely lower in quality than likes of Jorginho, Partey, Rice, etc. Why do you think Arteta is consistently playing him? Don't you think he needs to earn his spot in the first team? Thanks for the quality game analysis. I thought he played really well yesterday. I'm surprised by that, Dylan. I mean, I haven't been blown away by Marino yet by any means. But I do think he needs a bit of time. He's not had it easy. You know, in the summer, he played the whole time for Spain in the Euros. Came back to Sociedad. The Arsenal thing was going on. He wasn't training with Sociedad. He gets a move to Arsenal. He comes over here. First session, he breaks his shoulder with Gabriel falling on him. So he's out straight away. Then he comes back into the side after a long time out and into an underperforming side. We've got players playing out of position, and he's asked to perform straight away. So I think you can definitely cut him a little bit of slack, and he has had to go through quite a bit for a new player coming into a new country. And he's not always played that well, but I think you've seen signs recently in some of his performances. He was very good, I thought, against Liverpool, and I thought yesterday he was very good when he came on, I have to say. So I don't think he should necessarily be a guaranteed starter in the team, but I don't think he is, to be honest. I think he is part of just sort of improving the squad, but he will start as well as the season goes on. Sam says, I think we played better at the Bridge this year than we did last year. That's definitely true. They were awful last year in that game at the Bridge. Overall, it's pretty bleak in terms of the league, but I thought there were some positives in that standalone game. Odegaard back playing 90 minutes is incredible and shows what we've been missing with that final ball and composure. Marino cameo was great, and I thought seems to be slowly getting there. Defense looks solid. Blame midfield for the goal. Probably is now don't feel like we can see out. Our problem is now we don't think we can see out games anymore. I was confident last year we could keep clean sheets, but this year feel we have to score at least 2 to win. That's a good point. Like all of the focus has been on the attack at Arsenal in the last 6 weeks or so while Odegaard has been out, and I can understand that. And I've focused on the attack. But defensively, I mean, Arsenal haven't kept the clean sheet, I think, in about 8 games in the Premier League or Champions League. They're not keeping teams out anymore, and they're doing silly things and conceded silly goals. You know, it's the defence, and I'm not just talking about defence, I'm talking midfield and defence, you know, protecting your goal. The way Arsenal have done it so well from the attack to the midfield to the defence, they've done it so well for so long, we've just become accustomed to it. But that sort of goal we saw yesterday was just a really sloppy thing for Arsenal to do, completely avoidable. If you do that thing right there, you win that game. So it's not just about the attack, I think, the issues of Arsenal at the moment. Defensively, they're just a little bit off it as well. And when I say that, I mean as a whole team, not just as the back four, but as a whole team, they're a little bit off it. Addy says, hi, Charles. Do you think our lack of goals in transition is a problem? Saw Liverpool's game, and the goal Nunes scored was just beautiful counter-attacking football. And every time I watch Arsenal play, we don't run at the opposition team anymore. We look very predictable in attack. Do you think that's a major issue in regards to us not scoring and creating chances? Maybe. I think there's definitely a lack of pace in this Arsenal team. And when you look at Liverpool, I watched the Villa game, and when Liverpool looked so dangerous was mainly from Villa set pieces, and then Liverpool turned the ball over, transitioned really well, and just broke with such pace. Salah's so good over that sort of distance, and Nunes is rapid as well. And they do break very, very well. We saw it with the goal that they scored, the equaliser they scored with Salah at the Emirates just a short time ago. Arsenal don't really have the players to do that. It's very rare when you see it. I mean, I remember, was it Trossard last season scored a goal when Jesus broke from David Raya's long throw? I can't remember who it was against. It was at the Emirates, and then Trossard smashed it in. It was just one of those rare occurrences you see Arsenal score a goal like that. I also think with Arsenal that teams don't allow it as much as they seem to do with Liverpool. Like Villa would just leave everyone up, and it had like one defender back time and time again from set pieces, and that allowed Liverpool just to pick them off on the counter attack, as you saw with both of their goals. But I do agree that Arsenal, I think they do need to add a little bit more pace to this team to maybe give themselves that opportunity. So when they do turn the ball over and transition, they can do it maybe a little bit faster than they already do. Here's one from Goss who says, White, one brush against Neto booked. Caicedo, three very bookable fouls not booked. Michael Oliver at Arsenal away game summed up. Yeah, I don't know how Caicedo managed to get away with a booking. I thought that one for White was a joke. He guessed Michael Oliver with that booking for White. He didn't see what happened. Neto absolutely conned him. And when you see the replay and look at it, you just can tell that Oliver's booking him because he thinks he knows what happens. But when you see the replay, he clearly didn't know what happened because Neto went down holding his face and there was nothing in it. Absolutely nothing. It was never a yellow card. I love the chant of Michael Oliver, "It's all about you," from the Arsenal away fans yesterday. You could hear that loud and clear. Vet Para says, "Hi, Charles. Think we need to look at the fixtures we've had, take our injury suspensions into account and breathe. We are accidents at home to Brighton, away to Bournemouth, away from being above City. Always tempted to extrapolate, I don't even know that word, our form results and draw conclusions on where we'll finish or how points rivals will accumulate. Reality is we've come through a tough moment, ticked off some of the hardest fixtures that are both in the Premier League and Champions League phase, and now we need to go on a run." Absolutely, that's the crucial bit there. Now we need to go on a run. You look at the fixtures after the international break, Arsenal need to take advantage. Gunnar Coop says, "Charles, we're always going to suffer a big drop-off this season after the past two tremendous seasons where we played so well. However, the board and the boss made no allowance for this. We simply had to sign an Odegaard replacement and a goal scorer, which we did not. We are now reaping what we've sown." And then a couple more here. Johnny Pierce says, "If it was City 9 points ahead, you'd say we're unlikely to catch them, but it's Liverpool. They will have a bad spell at some stage, just like they did last season. We've been to the Spuds, City, Newcastle and Chelsea. We are still just within touching distance. It might take another famous win at Anfield, but if our best 11 stay fit and results start going our way, we will be in this title race come May. Great to have a skipper back and Martinelli back to form. 27 games to go. All to play for. Come on, you Gunners." And then finally, Charlie J says, "We cannot drop another point this calendar year. We've had our run of brutal away games. Now the time is to build some momentum. Forest, West Ham, Man United, Fulham, Everton, Palace, Ipswich and Brentford are the next 8 games. All winnable." Indeed, Charlie, that's what I'm saying. That run now after international break, Arsenal have got to hit the ground running, take advantage and just, I mean, if Arsenal can get, I mean, it's unlikely because you don't often win 8 Premier League games in a row. That happens as much as you look at those fixtures and think, oh, they're quite nice. It's very unlikely you win 8 Premier League games in a row. It's difficult to do that. But Arsenal, that has to be the aim. If you can get 24 points from those 8 games and then just see where you are going into the new year, then you give yourself an opportunity. I think Arsenal will be very much within touching distance if they get maximum points from those 8 games. I still feel, and maybe I'm being naive, maybe I'm taking Liverpool a little bit too lightly, but I still look at Liverpool and I think they're enjoying a brilliant run, but there's a sticky patch coming for them. I just feel it. And again, maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm underestimating them. But they're not blowing me away when I watch Liverpool. They're getting the wins. Fair play to them. It's been a brilliant start. But as Johnny says there, if it was City 9 points clear, I'd be really, really worried. I'm just not quite there yet with the fact that it's Liverpool. We'll see if that comes back to bite me or not. But thank you very much to all of you for getting involved in the show today. I really do appreciate it. And that's it for me. Enjoy your Monday, everyone, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. We are now into the international break. So not too much Arsenal to really focus on the next couple of weeks, but I'll try and I'll still do my usual daily shows as we head towards what's going to be a really busy end to the year. So enjoy your downtime, enjoy a little bit of a break, enjoy some of the international fixtures. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.